One of these days, we're going to get a little mini drone, and you can fly through the front door and fly out through the house and have a good time, knocking
Yeah,
chandeliers
that's
over, all kinds
available.
of fun. Hello, everybody. Tim Holley here again with Long River Realty and our YouTube channel, Arizona Real Estate. Today we have Steve Kunich with us from Drone Pros, and he's also a member and family and associate of Long River Realty. Today we're going to talk about a new perspective on how drones are changing the real estate. Steve, thanks for being here today. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about drone photography?
Sure. My name is Steve Kunish with Long River Realty, and I also have a business called X Drone Pros, which I started about 2.5 years ago. My journey has been probably typical as far as drone goes. I thought they were a cool little toy, so I started with a very cheap drone, and because I figured I'd crash it, which of course I did. There were several drawbacks to the cheaper drones, but after I crashed it a couple of times, I decided to invest in a real drone, and which they pretty much fly themselves. You don't need a phone to operate the drone. Most of the drones come with its own display. One of the big drawbacks is every time I was flying my drone, I'd get a phone call, and that of course interrupts the process. But as far as drone photography goes, obviously as a realtor, I thought I could use the drone photos to enhance my listings, and then I quickly found out that you need to be licensed to do that. Anytime you use drone photography for any business purpose, whether it's a YouTube video, if you're monetized on YouTube, or even Instagram, Facebook, anything that you're monetized on, you have to be licensed. So I went through the process of getting licensed, and you get an FAA certified license, like this one here. That was another process that was, you learn as you go. I took the online courses and had to drive to either Phoenix or Las Vegas. In my case, I went to Las Vegas, took the test, and did not pass the first time. In fact, when I took the test, I questioned the proctor, like, am I in the right test? So anyways, I restudied and took the test the next time, and passed at that time.
And so for a lot of people that they have the idea of drones and so forth, how does it work? What are you allowed to do being licensed, and what are you not allowed to do being licensed?
Well, if you're not licensed, you can fly recreational in the park, take pictures of your kids, your dogs, for your personal use. There are rules, and even if you're not licensed, you have to abide by the rules. And that's why getting licensed is so important. Because if you don't know the rules, then you don't know if you're breaking them. The probably the biggest two rules are, you can't fly over 400 feet, and the other one is you can't fly over people for extended period of time. So when the car show was going on in Havasu, I saw lots of drones up there, and they were just flying over people like it was no big deal, and they were obviously not licensed pilots.
Now, I noticed you've done shots for me before, and you always put on your vest. I don't know if that's to make it easier for people to shoot at you, or so they don't shoot at you, or whatever it might be. But is that part of the license deal that you have to notify or give some kind of show that people around you know that, hey, I'm licensed, this is a drone shoot for commercial?
No, I use the vest when I'm around people, usually, or in an environment where someone might approach me and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" because on the back of the vest it says licensed pilot, please don't approach. Because when you're flying, you have to pay attention. You can't just stop and have a conversation and explain what you're doing to anybody that walks up to you. So I use it in certain cases. I don't use it every time.
Right. And now, what's the radius on the drone? I know when you did some stuff for me on some big lands, that thing took off to where I couldn't see it, but you had it on everything you were doing, so you could watch it as it came out, came back in. How far out can you generally fly? And we know the height is 400 feet maximum. You can. I saw there you did a few shots. You got down pretty low to the ground, which is really cool. But how big of a radius can you generally shoot when you're shooting a drone shot?
Well, the rule reads line of sight. So technically, you should be able to see your drone from where you're at. The drone I have will fly, 2 miles away. And obviously, you can't see a little teeny drone 2 miles in the sky. But you've got the reference on the controller to know where you're at. And as long as you've, theoretically can see that far, you're okay.
Okay. All right. All right. So, how does the drone work? Does it benefit buyers, sellers? Who's the advantage of your drone? How the realtors and yourself get that advantage in their marketing?
Well, I think as anybody in the real estate business knows, probably 70, 80% of listings have drone photos. It's just become the norm. It shows the neighborhood. It can show, lot lines. Obviously, for vacant land, it's almost necessary. I would say it's necessary
Right.
to use a drone, and most residentials use drones as well.
Okay. All right. And you know, we're talking about drone photography. What about the people out there who are still fuzzy about what we're talking about? Can you sort of explain the exact what the term of drone photography is and exactly what it is?
I guess technically it would be aerial photography. We use the word drone. Everyone knows what a drone is, but it's basically just a different perspective than a handheld camera on the ground. You're able to take scenic shots, show reference to where the river is or the mountain views. Get the house and the pool in the same shot. Um, the advantages are limitless, really. I mean,
Okay. And we know that the maximum height is 400 feet. How low to the ground can you get down and fly around up and down the street? Uh, what's your
um,
generally your lowest height that you go?
you can go to the ground, quite frankly. When I get to a shoot, the first thing I look for is power lines. Um, Obviously, they have avoidance technology where it'll sense objects, usually buildings or trees. They do not sense power lines. So you
Okay.
always are aware of where the power lines are, and go well over that, or be very close to where the drone is if you need to be close to the power line so you can physically see the drone and the power line together at the same time. So to answer your question, you can fly as low as you want to as low as you want to
Okay.
go.
All right. And then we talked about a little bit of the capturing the perfect shot. That's probably one of the advantages of the drone because you have so many angles, heights, levels to what you can do. How do you look to capture the perfect shot when you're doing something like that?
Lighting is very important. Obviously, there's no flash on a drone. You can't augment the light when you're taking the shot. So, depending on whether the house, the subject you're shooting, is a uh, facing east or west or north or south, you might want to uh, take a drone shot in the morning or the afternoon, depending on where the sun's at.
Okay.
So for me, I look at the subject, and I might recommend we do an afternoon shot, if it's north facing, or morning shot if it's south facing.
Right. So are there occasions where you have to maybe shoot in the morning, then come back and shoot later in the afternoon or evening again?
No,
That
you
extra
can
money
usually get it
because
all
you're
done
twice in a
either
day.
all in the morning
Okay.
or all in the afternoon.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't know if you had to break it up at two different times.
No. And the other real important thing is wind. I have a wind app on my phone that's very accurate, I've found over the years. Um, that's all drone shots are weather permitting.
Okay.
If we got 20, 30 mile an hour gusts, we're not flying.
Right. Okay. All right. Um, is there anything that when you're doing drone shots, a lot of times when we do interior photos, we tell people clean this, move this. Is there any thing that you suggest for people to do? Is it move the cars out of the driveway for
Absolutely.
residential? What is your preparation that you talk to the people about prior to you getting there shooting the drone shots?
Depending on the subject, the property, move all the cars, obviously, trash cans. Um, with editing now, I can crop out, the neighbor's junk car, if I want to, or a trash can if it's in the way because they forgot to take them in. That's more work on my end to go in and delete those stuff in editing. But yeah, you want to prepare the yard, the property, like you would, the inside of the house. Just clean it up.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. And then now you get both video, you can do video and still shots with your drone. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I know some of the different things we have. Is there something that is preferred over the video versus the single shots, or is it a different price? Let's say if I just want you to come out there and just do still shots versus video shots, is that a whole different program, or it can all be done on the same flight?
The actual um, taking of the video or taking of the uh, still shot is the same. I mean, you push a different button. It comes down to the editing. If you want it fully edited and all that, it's a different price, quite frankly, than giving you raw video. I know I've done a few for you. I just gave you raw video,
Right.
and you edited it, to what you want, and
Right.
that's really how it's preferred, because you're going to know what your final product should look like more than I would.
Right.
I'll give you the raw video footage, and you can crop it and add music or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people don't understand when we're putting this stuff together. We sort of work as a team with you because you're going out there getting the stuff we want. Then you do your editing. Then it comes to us as the realtors or brokers, and we do our editing to match what we have to do for our association and other rules before we display it out there. Now, let's say if you get somebody for sale by owner or something like that, do you give them guidance on how to do editing, or do you charge an extra fee if they want it edited and so forth?
Yeah, I would definitely. I wouldn't expect somebody that's never edited before to do that. I usually, quite frankly, no one's asked me to um, give them video for a for sale by owner or something like that. It's usually a professional like yourself that's familiar with, that kind of stuff. I certainly can edit um, video and come up with a final product, and that's more. The actual drone photography, taking the photos, um, is probably 30% of the time required to do a project. Editing, putting in lot lines, shading, uh, highlighting certain properties. Um, that's all done in editing, and that's takes a lot more time than to actually put the drone up and snap a couple pictures.
Right. And a lot of people don't realize, because you're on the real estate side of it too. They think, oh, they just get these photos and they post them and they're done. That a lot of times people don't see the hours we have behind the scenes that we do to get these videos up and running, compliance, in our marketing, because we put it out in so much different media that we have to edit these sometimes because one social media might want it at one size or cropped one way. Another social media wants it cropped and sized another way. So, and there's so many, like with what Dana and I do, we go out to about 85 different sites that we put our stuff on. So as we go to post this stuff up in, we'll get an alert. No, you got to resize, or you got to do this, you got to do that. So a lot of times, people don't realize, yourself, myself, the rest of the real estate industry, we wear a lot of hats when we're doing the different things we do with our listings, just so we can get this out there professionally looking for everybody to find this.
Right. And it's also important when you hire a drone photographer to let them know, if you want to do a video, is it going to be posted on YouTube, which is a landscape, 16:9 ratio like we're in right now, or if it's for Instagram where it's a vertical shot, because you physically change the lens orientation. If you want Instagram videos, we can shoot in Instagram, which is, vertical. So it's important to know what your use is, what your intended use is, before I take the videos.
Right. Right. And that's what a lot of people don't understand, that, especially new people looking or sitting back think, those realtors have it easy. This is what I always hear. They go out and they get their license. They go into the office, they sit behind a desk, and they wait for the phone to ring. And then they pick up the phone and they go out and sell a house and get a big fat paycheck. But, that's not even close to where it's at in the world. You got to be a marketing specialist. You have to be an editing specialist. You have to, I've just, and you better know what's going on in the industry and around, and how to do all these different things. Or if you're not have the ability to do so, you're going to be paying people a lot of money to do a lot of different things. So for those people looking to list out there, it's not as simple as just, oh, here, throw some pictures up there. Steve's a professional. That's why we hire him. Our interior photographers are professional. That's why we hire them. And a lot of times, I know on one of our projects, Lake Havasu Estates, and you people, I'm going to put my own plug in there for one of my projects. You can go to lakehavasu.estates.com. There was a marketing company that was brought in to do some stuff for me there. And we hired Steve to do the drones. And then once the drone was done there, then we sent drones, the videos that Steve had done on the drones for us, over to the marketing company to put that all together, so you can take a real good look at some of the stuff that we've done there. Now, Steve, do you have a website if somebody wants to go and look at some of the stuff, or you just have them call you directly and you send them samples? How do you do that if people want to see your portfolio?
Yeah, I'm actually currently working on a website, so it's not up and running yet. I do deliver all of my photos through Adobe Lightroom, so it's full resolution, full high resolution. You've got those files before.
Right.
So yeah, just reach out to me with phone number or email for now.
Yeah,
and I've also learned.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've learned over this journey to kind of stay in my lane. There was a time when I started this, I went out and bought a DSLR camera and a flash, and thought I could go in and take, interior photos. And, that's a whole nother industry. And I wasn't happy with the results. And so I don't offer that anymore. I just offer aerial photography, drone photography. I've gotten pretty good at that. But yeah, you got to stay in your lane. Like you said, you sent the videos to the marketing company. that's a whole different business, to
Right.
create those videos with the audio and all that stuff. So I've learned to stay in my lane. I do aerial photography, and I leave the interior photos to, like, you use a interior photo guy, and those
Right.
photos are awesome. And
Yeah.
I haven't taken the time to learn how to do that yet, and I don't intend to. I'm just going to do drone photography and real estate.
Yeah. It's funny. 25 years ago, I got into the business and I was doing land. And, cameras were cheap and, the photography was ugly unless, you had, because I was doing some big ranches. And so I was taking photography. So my second year in the business, I went out and I invested in a nice camera. And then I had a little bit more time to teach myself photography. And photography is like anything else in the industry because of technology advances so quickly and so fast that I thought my photos 25 years ago or 24 years ago that I took, I said, man, these were awesome pictures. These were great. And then now I look at them today going, oh man, that's terrible. That's real terrible. So I've learned over time that, you can wear a lot of hats, but, a lot of these professional photographers and even you, like you talked about, you had to do classes, you had to go take tests. The tests weren't easy. Photographers, they go through schooling to learn how to do all this kind of stuff. So to really put the marketing together, and your shots blend great with the other photographers and the other marketing companies because you really have some high definition on your drone, puts out some beautiful stuff. And I know that in your drone that you had come down on one of the remote land stuff and got it down, and we got some pictures of some deer on the side of the mountain, the cattle laying underneath the trees. So, and all your shots on your camera's a good camera on that drone, and people don't realize, that's where it starts getting expensive is when you start upgrading to this professional stuff that we have here. So, people really got to look at it is what we do is not as easy as they think. You got to work with a team. There's just no one person out there that might advertise and say, "Look what I did." Yeah, you and the 50 other people that helped get you there. So a lot of times the sellers and the buyers need to understand that, there's our charges for our professional, what we do is there for a reason because none of this stuff is inexpensive, but all of it is a great tool for helping marketing and selling your property.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you mentioned uh, you got some photos with some deer and different things, and that's something I've learned over the last couple of years is you always look for something unique in every property. The one angle that's unique. When you're doing land, you try to find wildlife on it. In homes, you know, you might go way far away from the house to get the lake in there to show reference of where the lake's at or something unique to the property, something that catches someone's attention.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've done these with pools that you can get right above the pool, come down on the pool, get different angles that a photographer might not catch because that drone can do the 360s and flip around while you're flying it, angle it here, angle it there, catch it down low, go back up high. So you can really get a unique perspective of a really good look of a pool where sometimes and I'm not knocking, all of our photographers are great and they all get capture great shots. But one of the advantages of the drone, you can catch some different angles that maybe the professional photographer won't catch.
Absolutely. I've got a few properties I've done where it's important to know the side parking and things like that. So you do a straight down shot. You can overlay the dimensions on it to say that it's 32 feet wide or 50 feet long. And with a regular camera, you just can't get that perspective, and you certainly can't give that information as well. You know,
Yeah. And what I liked on when you did one of the drones on my land on the Lake Havasu Estates is you were flying up and out. And then we said, hey, why don't you come down and get like a street level so you can fly down the street like you're driving down the street and people can get good perspectives. That's some of the cool things that I like with the drone is when it gets down to the level of eye level, the 6 foot level, 5 foot level between there of where people are at. The drone can give the actual, you can give them a walk up and down the neighborhood flying the drone around and people can get a real good look at what they'll be seeing. That's a little bit different because I know a lot of times when you take people there, they're in a car, you pull up, you get out, you look at the house, and you may drive down the street, but you're driving, so you're a little distracted there because you're watching what you're doing, where you're going. Or the drone gets out there and flies up and down the streets and around the different angles. It gives the people the ability to sit back and really soak in what is up and down those streets and what they're looking at in the neighborhood and so forth.
Yeah, in fact, when I was doing the Yucca stuff for you out in Yucca, you had asked me to do that, and I, quite frankly, hadn't thought of that. So, I always take the input of the client, the person that wants the photos, and I've done that many times since because you brought that to my attention. That's what you wanted, and I didn't think of that at the time, but now I do it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. One of these days, we're going to get a little mini drone and you can fly through the front door and fly out through the house and have a good time knocking
Yeah,
chandeliers
that's
over, all kinds
available.
of fun. I know it's available. Now, I know with what we have going, this is going to be a multiple episode series, but I know you have some specials going on that will be posted to the YouTube channel after we get this done and up. And Steve will probably be one of the first comments in there, and he can add a flyer in there for a special. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the special you have going on right now as part of the YouTube podcast here that you're going to be offering to people?
Sure. It's basically 20 drone photos for $50. So this can be for new listings, existing listings, land. And I just deliver you, 20 photos. I say 20, it could be 25. Film is cheap, obviously,
Right.
digital film. But yeah, 20 photos for $50. I'll drive out to the house, the land, whatever. Pretty much quartzsite and Lake Havasu City. I can do Parker in between. If I've got to go out to Baus or Siloam, be a little trip charge involved. If you want complete lot lines with shading and dimensions and all that stuff, that's probably going to be a little extra because that's editing that takes longer. But most listings just require a few drone photos, to show the pool, to show the neighborhood, an elevated position, the front of the house. So the special is 20 photos for $50.
Well, that's really good. So I was gonna say, I was waiting for you to see how far you were willing to go to do that because I was like, well, I think I'm on real east of Kingman. Maybe I'll send them out to that remote property.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what's nice on some of the drone stuff there, we have one coming up that's going to come back on the market. And sometimes these people get land that's locked. There's still a lot of landlocked parcels out there. And it's the nice thing with the drone because the ability of how far you can shoot over. If you have a property that's sort of landlocked or the road hadn't been cut in yet, with you doing the mapping, you can sort of see where the road should go. You could fly low, showing where the road could go, and then come back up high and show the piece of property and come back in. Because a lot of times, prospective buyers, the seller will end up cutting the road in. But if we're ahead of the game on that with the marketing, because a lot of times the sellers, before they start hiring the blade and going out there and moving dirt and getting stuff going, they want to start piquing the interest of the people. And so that's what's nice about the drone is the drones can get to places a lot of times. I know, again, I keep referring back to Lake Havasu Estates.com. I don't know why I'm promoting my own stuff, but you flew to the top of the mountain, which I've always looked at that mountain and go, man, you know what? If I was 40 years younger, I'm not that old, but if I was younger, I'd climb that mountain and want to take a look at it from up there. But within minutes, you had that drone going up hovering over the top of the mountain, taking a look around, doing a 360 view, and it was beautiful. And that's some of the advantages of the drones is is you can get shots that people only imagine, and you can make those imaginary visions come to life with your drone shots.
Yeah, that's that was one of the first things I saw when I got to that property was that mountain, and I wanted a reveal shot coming from the backside of the mountain and reveal the whole valley. And yeah, that's definitely something you can't do with a regular camera.
No. All right, so we're winding down episode 1 here. Steve, why don't you tell everybody how they can get a hold of you?
You can reach me by phone at 928-230-9971, or my email is steven@xdronepros.com or steve@steve.longriverrealty.com.
And so everybody knows Steve is an associate, top producing associate with Long River Realty. He does work out of our Quartzsite office and works out of our Lake Havasu City office. So if for some reason you feel that you want to meet in person, he has access to the 2 different offices. Obviously, if you're going to want him to shoot your home or land, maybe land, you might meet at the office and go over that. The home, you're probably going to want to come to the home and take a look. But anyways, we appreciate everybody watching in on this. And like I say, this is a multi-episode podcast. So you'll see episode 2. And if we get enough information stuff out there for you, we can get many more. But again, please hit like, save, share, follow, tell your friends about it, and do not hesitate to reach out to Steve. So anyways, thank you, Steve, and we'll be talking at you again soon.
Thank you, Tim.
All right.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.